What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Brickanics in week 5 of building the battle for Yerbana City. I am really excited to share this week's progress with you guys because we're going to add our first building into Yerbana City, and I'm really excited to show you, the design and the architecture that I've gone with for this particular building. If you're new here, this series follows my journey building a large Clone Wars MOC based on Season 7, Episode 9 of the Clone Wars, and it's on the planet Yerbana. Last week, we built up more of the landscape. We built in a dirt road into the landscape, and we also added some depth to the landscape as far as adding a ditch or a crater into the MOC. So you guys gave me some great feedback. All in all, I think the progress is coming along really well. So if you're not subscribed to the channel and you want to see updates like last week and the one I'm getting ready to show you here today, I would invite you to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got a lot of building to do in this video, so let's get into it. Alright guys, so this should be a pretty fun video because I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. I mean, I have an idea of what my plan is, but I'm not exactly sure how it's going to turn out. I've started prototyping a road, which we'll get into here in a second, as well as part of a building, which I'll also get into here in a little bit. But what I want to work on right now is extending this road around here and wrapping it into where like the beginning of the city is going to be, because our road is going to be a snot technique that's going to be laid into the kind of subflooring right here. And I'm going to have a transition from, dirt road into a cobblestone type road as we work our way in here. Also in this video, I'd like to get as much of this plated out as possible. I'd like to see if I can start laying out some of the outline to the mountain. I'd like to get the building placed in here. And then I'd also over here like to do some of the landscaping, just maybe a little bit. We'll see how much I can get into, but I'd like to see sort of what the landscape is going to start to look like a little bit as I work in some of the darker green and some of the foliage. So yeah, let's jump into the build and get rocking. So here's the design I landed on for the Cobblestone Road that's going to be going down Main Street in the city. It's really inspired off of some like Lego castle designs and MOCs that I've seen. Like typically this would be seen or done as a wall, but I've decided to do it as a street, which I think has turned out pretty good because it's imperfect. It has some broken pieces, it has some mud patches where some cobblestones are missing. So I really like the way this has turned out. I had some help by a builder named EJ Sparrow who worked through some ideas with me, and then I tweaked some things and I landed on this final design here. But it primarily uses this 1x1 with a stud on the side, and then just this 1x1 brick, and then a 1x2 tile, as well as some circle pieces and some of these like half pieces or half circles or whatever you want to call them. Alright, we've got it all finished and I've pulled off the bottom base here. I think it looks pretty good for a cobblestone road. Something a little unexpected, still kind of cool, is that it kind of all can separate apart like this, which I didn't realize, but it kind of all goes back together magically. So we just got to get it laid into the MOC and we should be good to go. The audio might be a little bit different going forward because I noticed some clicking in the audio, so I've stopped using a microphone that I was using before. So the audio might be a little bit different, but at least you're not going to hear any clicking in the audio. But the first initial challenge I had here in getting the road into the landscape is figuring out what height my filler brick needed to be in order to make this even with the plates the way I have it. So I've got that figured out, and basically the road is going to lay in here like this, and now all I really need to do is continue building out the filler brick this way, get the road laid in there, and then plate around it. So let's do it. Nice. I think that's looking pretty good. We've got the road set down into the build. I've got some wiggle room here as I'm going to place a building back here, and I'm not exactly sure how this is going to meet up with the building. So if I have to slide this forward a little bit, I have room to do that. So man, that's looking pretty good. Hopefully maybe you can start to see how that's coming together a little bit. Now I think what we need to do is bring up the landscape to this level here, plate it out, and I want to place that building right here, and then we can maybe work on some of the road here. So let's get into that. Dang, I would only leave myself 11 studs wide here. 11 studs wide. That's gonna make it interesting. But yeah, we're making some pretty good progress as you saw in the time lapse. So I'm just gonna continue right around here. So I got on a bit of a tear and went to town building up all this landscape area here. So we have a lot of surface area to work with. One of the things I want to do next is start building here. I have the top half of the building complete, and I'll show you that here in a second, but I do want to build the first level in this video. But something I wanted to show you real quick regarding the street. If I come around here, you know, it might look like the cobblestones are up one plate above the landscape, but in actuality, this is just like the subfloor, right? The same thing as I mentioned in some previous videos. So when I come up on top of here, I still have flexibility to go with studs or tiles, and then I can go up one more level with grass. So if I did go up one more level with grass, we'd actually be one plate above the cobblestone. So I think that's gonna allow for a lot of realism when it comes to finishing out the landscape here as we move forward. So here is that top half of that building I'm working on for the back left corner of the MOC. And as I had mentioned in the very first video, I wanted to go for an ancient / industrial / modern vibe to the city. And the pyramid shaped buildings that we see in this photo of Yerbana is something that I felt was important to include. So that's what this is representing. This is going to be the biggest pyramid shaped building. I still want to add a little bit up top here, which is going to kind of jet out around on the four sides. And then to add a modern touch to this, I'm going to put like some satellite or radar up top. Nothing huge, just enough to give you that modern feel. So, you know, this is pretty cool. This is like my first time going for like a weathered wall or building type look. When I was prototyping this build, I was deciding between this, which is, you know, 2 angled sides and, you know, 2 flat sides, versus a 4-sided or 4 angles on the building. And I decided to go for 2 angles because it was going to be easier to build, for one thing, and the other thing is because it was going to take up too much space to have, you know, 4 sides angling out. So this was a pretty cool build. It was a lot of fun to make. I actually just have these hinge pieces down here that are helping to get this angle, and then the same hinge piece is up here. I think you know what piece it is based on this shot right here. And these are actually just, you know, 1 brick thick going up. Something kind of happened when I was building is that the sides here, when I put it together in the final build, started like bowing in a little bit. So I had to build up supports inside of here to kind of keep the wall straight. But all in all, I think it turned out pretty good. I have some of this like detail right here, which is pretty cool. And I've used kind of these little round pieces here, which are nice. And then I wanted to go for some type of culture that would be in the city of Yerbana. And so this symbol here is kind of like the symbol I'm going with for Yerbana. And then we have some of the kind of ancient architecture that might be part of it. Now what we need to do is build the first floor to this so it can go up. And what I'm looking to do here is actually have half of the building match the top part, and then half be like a remodel where they're kind of modernizing or using this old structure as a new or for a new purpose, but not wanting to totally destroy the culture or the heritage that was there before. So we'll see how that turns out. So let's go ahead and get started building that right now. Well, apparently my phone stopped recording as I was trying to do a time lapse there, but I've started to kind of build the shell of the first floor, and this is going to kind of sit up on top here. And then what I'm doing is making this right side a bit more modern, and it's going to kind of wrap around here and then blend into a bit more of the old weathered look. So I'll pick up that time lapse where I tried to leave off, and we'll keep building. The room is a complete disaster. I mean, I've got stuff everywhere, but this is what we're looking at so far. So hopefully now you can start to see kind of modern, new, you know, transitioning into the old, where there is kind of like building over top of this old ancient structure and kind of getting some different use out of it. So I think that's looking pretty cool. You guys, let me know what you think. I mean, is this looking pretty cool? But let's get it placed into the MOC, and I'll get the top on it, and then we got some finishing touches around the edges, and we should be good to go. There we have it. We have the building placed into Yerbana, and I think it's looking pretty good. I've added the additional detail to the top here that you would see in the pictures or the buildings of Yerbana, so I think that's looking pretty accurate. Got some radar or communication devices up here on the top. And you know what? I think that's what, you know, has happened to this ancient ruin or building per se, is that they've transitioned it into a communications outpost, because this is going to be the tallest building in the Yerbana MOC here. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. All right, so what we got to do now is we have to extend this dirt road to meet up with this cobblestone road here. Oh man, As it turns out, I don't have the 1x2 jumper plates. I actually have a bunch of 1x2 dark tan jumper plates, which is what I was thinking was reddish brown. So I don't actually have what I need to continue curving this through this area here to meet up with the dirt road. So unfortunately, a little bit of a cliffhanger. We'll have to wait until the next video to see how this comes together. But you can start to see how I'm trying to curve this around. I think I'll need to tweak this a little bit, but I'm headed in the right direction, I feel. But let's go ahead and get some foliage in this area right here, just to kind of see what the different texture with the different green is going to look like on the landscape. So that's pretty much what I was thinking as far as adding some additional color and texture to the landscape, just mixing in some darker green, tiles, as well as some minimal foliage elements. I've also added a bit of, a smaller rockwork formation here, and I'll mix that in throughout the MOC. I have to thank Brick Mad Sam for that idea. It's gonna, create some additional color variance, and I think it'll look pretty good overall. But yeah, I think that things are really starting to take shape. I really like how, this first building is looking placed within the MOC, and I can't wait to get some additional buildings placed in here, as well as, the mountain here. So all in all, I think we're really starting to look pretty good. So I'm pretty disappointed that I wasn't able to finish, the dirt road meeting up with the cobblestone. I know I mentioned it a few times, but I didn't have the pieces that I needed. But we did make pretty good progress in building out that first, section and kind of getting that staggered cobblestone look. I think that's looking pretty good. A little bit of a challenge getting it to round and bend and meet up with the dirt road, but I think we'll get there after some additional tweaks. I'm really excited that we were able to add our first building into Yerbana City. It's good to see the scale of the buildings and what or how much room I have for additional buildings into the build. So if you're not subscribed to the channel and you want to see how this build progresses with adding more buildings into the city, as well as a mountain and some other elements, I would encourage you to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. If you like the video and you want to show some support, hitting the like button is a great way to do so. It helps other people find the video, find this channel, and find this build series. All right, thank you for watching the video and joining me here on this build series. I really appreciate it, and we will see you in the next video.